Viewers, drop your city and your local time down below. Always fun to see where we're all tuning in from. So, here's how it starts. He buys his patch of Colorado land 5 years back, thinking he's buying quiet mornings, space to breathe, a place where the loudest sound might be the wind pushing through pines. Just far enough from Denver for peace, close enough to still get a decent cappuccino and working Wi-Fi. He's an architect, which means the place wasn't slapped together. It was deliberate. Every beam handpicked, every stone set with intention, every screw driven by his own hands or ones he trusted. And the land? Surveyed, staked, fenced, double-checked with county records like he was prepping for a zoning history class. It wasn't just property. It was proof that patience still had a place in a world that wanted everything overnight. For a while, the nearest neighbor was technically a tree line, until Richard Muller rolled up. First came the faded SUV, then a trailer, then wood piles and a porta-potty, all landing next door without so much as a knock on the door. No permits taped to posts. No. Hey, where's the boundary? Just construction hammering away like it was a race. Richard introduces himself once, leathery face, eyes like he's annoyed at the fact oxygen is a shared resource, and a vague line about boundaries being finalized later. Historians still argue whether that was confidence or foreshadowing. At first, the complaints were petty: his fence too tall, his wind chimes too scary for the local wildlife, his driveway too loud when backing out. But the real shift comes one evening when he notices an iron stake marking his property line has vanished, not fallen, not rusted out, pulled up like someone was trying to erase history with a crowbar. He quietly replaces it, even tags the coordinates with GPS. A week later, here's Richard stomping toward him with a manila folder like it's holding nuclear launch codes, announcing his house is sitting on Richard's land, and he's got 30 days to tear it down. The evidence is satellite printouts, shaky hand-drawn diagrams, and an official-sounding logo followed by the fine print, not a licensed surveyor. When he points out his own certified county surveys, Richard laughs like that's cute, accusing him of stealing land an inch at a time. It's clear, this isn't a misunderstanding. It's the opening volley of a siege he spends that night pulling out every original document. Certified plat maps, signed boundary confirmations, the kind of paper trail a museum archivist would envy. It's ironclad, but he knows that doesn't stop a man like Richard, who's already planting whispers in the neighborhood about illegal builds and drastic action. Historians still argue whether gossip moves faster in small towns or on high school campuses, but here, it's neck and neck. So he heads to the county records office, triple-checks every line and lot number, even calls the surveyor from 5 years ago. The guy remembers him instantly. "You were the one who actually walked the land with us, right?" And confirms the boundaries were clean as glass. That boulder they triangulated from? Still there, weathered but immovable, unlike his neighbor's grip on reality. That's when he calls in the big guns. Raymond Vogel, second-generation surveyor, allergic to anything shady. "Full resurvey?" Raymond asks. "The works," he replies. 10 days of GPS gear, tripods, drones, and enough fluorescent flags to make it look like a yard sale for astronauts. They measure his land, Richard's land, and even the parcels beyond. When the results come in, Raymond spreads the documents out like a blackjack dealer, and the twist hits. His house is dead center on his own lot. Richard's? A full 26 feet over the line, with part of his living room, deck, and shed squatting squarely on land that isn't his. Worse, the permits he filed pulled coordinates from a 1999 private plat, unrecognized by the county, and included promises to update boundaries post-construction, which isn't even legal unless parcels are merged. Translation: fraud. Armed with notarized, GPS-certified proof, he digs deeper into public records and finds Richard's construction application. Coordinates way off, surveyor listed as RM internal mapping, with no license number. Then the 2:43 a.m. trail cam footage drops into his lap. Richard in sweatpants, crowbar in hand, yanking out the fresh steak and muttering, "If this guy doesn't move his damn house, I'll tear the whole thing down myself." Saved to 3 separate backups, because some files deserve the digital equivalent of a fallout shelter. His attorney Beth, equal parts legal eagle and surgical strike, sees the video and says, "This is solid, but let's make it bulletproof. Let's find a pattern." And sure enough, Digging into Richard's past turns up a Utah HOA nightmare. Same MO, same crowbar habit, same courtroom loss before he fled the state and slightly altered his name. Now, with the pattern in place, extra cameras hidden in birdhouses and lawn ornaments, and laminated survey results nailed right where Richard can see them, the stage is set for the kind of courtroom showdown that property law professors dream about. Courtrooms in real life don't come with gavel-slamming drama or swelling violins. It's worn carpet, tired wood, and the faint smell of overworked coffee. But when Richard walks in flanked by two men in matching blazers, dragging a tube of documents like he's bringing the Dead Sea Scrolls, you can tell he's gearing up for theater. Judge Ramirez, all business, calls things to order. Beth starts with the precision of a scalpel, illegal construction on his parcel, fabricated coordinates, GPS-verified survey in hand, and, for dessert, the crowbar video. The judge's eyebrow lifts when Beth slides over the flash drive like it's the ace of spades. Richard's experts fall apart faster than a dollar store deck chair. One isn't licensed in Colorado, or anywhere, so his testimony is tossed before it even starts. The other turns out to be Richard's own accountant. Technically, he says, which earns him the kind of side judges reserve for kindergarten squabbles. Richard tries to spin it as manipulated data, but when the night vision clip plays, him ripping out the stake, muttering about tearing the house down, silence blankets the room. I was speaking metaphorically, he insists. Historians still argue whether that defense has ever worked in the history of the spoken word. The county inspector seals it, confirming Richard's permits should never have been approved. And then comes the verdict. Guilty of property encroachment, fraudulent permitting, destruction of marked boundaries, and harassment. A $180,000 fine, 3 years probation, and the kicker, demolish every inch of structure on stolen ground within 90 days at his expense. His deck, wall section, and shed vanish under the excavator's bite, nails screaming as they come loose. He's not even there to watch. Word is, he's holed up 30 miles away, maybe hoping the dust will settle. But it doesn't. The demolition guts the property value, the bank forecloses, and the place goes to auction. No one wants a half-gutted house with a rap sheet, so he bids just above the price of a decent pickup and wins. Repaints the property markers, installs motion-activated lights, and finally builds his piece de resistance, a small deck exactly where Richard's trespassing once stood, an Adirondack chair under a sun umbrella, and a sign. This is what happens when you lie about boundaries. A hiker's photo sends it viral. Reddit, Twitter, the works. Soon neighbors are putting up their own cheeky signs. The Ellis line becomes local legend, and he's even invited to speak at a zoning committee workshop. Richard? Rumor has him somewhere in Arizona, maybe cooking up a third name. But when he sits in that chair, watching the sun pour over the true boundary, he smiles. Not just because he won, but because property lines don't care how loud you argue, only where the pins go. The wind down comes easy now. The air on that ridge feels lighter, as if the pines themselves have exhaled. The grass has fully claimed the scar where the trespass once stood, swaying slow in the mountain breeze, dotted with wildflowers that pay no mind to human borders. Some evenings, when the light tilts gold and shadows stretch long, he lets the silence settle in, the kind that makes you hear your own heartbeat. The deck creaks softly under the Adirondack chair as he leans back, not in triumph, but in quiet certainty. There's no audience here, no judge, no neighbor with papers in hand, just the clean line of earth, marked and respected. He thinks about how fragile truth can feel when someone's shouting over it, and how solid it becomes once you've anchored it deep, like those survey stakes under the soil. The mountains hold their shape no matter the season, and in that constancy, he finds peace. As dusk drapes over the land, he lets his eyes close, listening to the faint rustle of the forest, knowing the boundary will still be there in the morning, just where it belongs.